Friends, how are you doing? Good morning. Hope everyone is well. The battle continues. Look at these two. I might just make a weekly recap video like every Saturday, Sunday, talking about Sofi and Robinhood here, how the stocks have, went throughout the week. It is so interesting. So, really talking about both these stocks right now, I think they're both fundamentally great places to be for investors. I really do mean that. I am on the side of the sand right now with a line down the middle of it. I am on the side of, I do think SoFi stands a really good chance with revenue getting past Robinhood here. I really do. Now, obviously, that's yet to be seen. I'm hopeful. Obviously, and SoFi has a lot more meat on the bone for investors right now. Has a bigger bite because it's so much cheaper than what Robinhood is right now. And Robinhood once again is flowing right back up into some heavy stock share price. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Kind of just go over them a little bit and see what's going on here. So Robinhood first, the stock has went right back up to the 130s. This is crazy. It's crazy and not crazy. Now, if you don't know, Robinhood just released their Q3s too, alongside of SoFi, essentially. Now, Robinhood has been up in this $1 billion range. Okay, this is nothing new to them. They've been here at the beginning of this year. They started the year off with a huge quarterly, and two quarterlies after that, they were a little lagging right under $1 billion, but then now this one they just came out with here, it was phenomenal. Great quarterly. And that's kind of the sauce right there. That's kind of the conversation, what we're talking about here. Can Robinhood get on a more steady playing field with releasing good quarterlies? I think anything obviously is possible. It's not like they're doing terrible by any means here, for God's sakes. It's not like, if they would really pick up the pace. It's not that kind of conversation. What I do think is that, there is a possibility maybe where they start to do this again in 2026. It's interesting. But two, they're going to have a lot of tools at their disposal here going in 2026. There's still Robinhood, whether people like it or not, it is a hot commodity for investors. People love Robinhood. They've done things that I don't agree with, obviously, but for them as a company, what they're pushing into, what they're doing, they're a real big issue for other banks, for places to put your money, for places to buy crypto stocks, Roth IRAs, stuff like this, credit cards. They're a huge competitor, and they're turning up the heat real fast here. So they're pushing into technology, and that's what is really setting them apart here. And they're able to get in these narrow cracks where these big fatter banks are just not paying attention here. SoFi has a lot of that conversation as well. But Robinhood here, this is crazy. Right, it's back up. Essentially, we're just going to round it up here, back up into this 130 zone here. Now, obviously, we just had a phenomenal week in the market. I mean, the world of difference here between last week and this week. What we just went through, just two different worlds. I mean, Earth and Jupiter, just completely different here. The question is here, what does Robinhood look like 2 weeks from now? Okay. In the 2 weeks that we're talking about here is we get through deeper into December. Yes, we had a rate cut. Great. Phenomenal. Market's still holding strong. Maybe the market just kind of keeps this, push here, for a good bit of time. Now, obviously, I kind of expect things will do what they've always done in a December market. This one's a lot different, to say the least, because, when's the last time we had a rate cut in December, for God's sakes? So with that, we could start 2 hot weeks of them. And this is all speculation, not that any of this has happened. This could really, if anything we've seen this year in the market, things will take a turn real fast. But we could be going into the next 2 weeks of the market where the market feels pretty safe. Investors are confident. We get the rate cut and we have big push. And then, the last 2 weeks of the market, we see some sell off. We see some pullback, and nothing crazy what we just went through, but we just see, people take profit. People kind of get their taxes in order, kind of normal stuff we see towards the last week or two of December in the market. Not a lot's going on. But going into January is going to be very interesting because why? Well, we're going to be going into January, new year. Whether you like it or not, we're talking about, the Fed's already talking about printing money. The Fed's, Fed chairman, Jerome, we're sending him off. He's gone. We'll have a new person in there. It's going to be an interesting year for bank stocks, and it could be a hot year for bank stocks. And if anything could do well here this year in that conversation, it is Robinhood, it is SoFi. But this is where the argument starts here, and the battle gets even thicker here with these two because, as thick as thieves as these two companies are right now with taking down bigger competition as these fatter banks and these, even investment firms kind of, that you can, invest in. But Robinhood here obviously is very strong in the avenue of people making investment portfolios, Roth IRAs, credit cards, things like that. But two, they're trying to adapt more into a banking, platform, what they're trying to do. They've talked about this. They really want to do this, and they're working on it, obviously. But you turn that around, and you have SoFi, who is obviously achieved that. And this is where I think we've already seen proof in the pudding with SoFi. So talking about SoFi and their quarterlies, SoFi has been releasing just these beautiful quarterlies where they've just been hitting. They just haven't missed, and they've been getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So if SoFi is able to stay on this road of strong revenue, beating on top of each quarterly, they could pass Robinhood here. Now, it could somewhere show that SoFi gets past Robinhood, but then somewhere Robinhood does what it's been doing here, what we've seen. It comes out with a massive quarterly and then takes over the lead one more, and then it kind of flips back. I don't know. There's a lot to be seen here, but we could just be in a conversation too where SoFi just becomes the bigger company, the bigger stock, the everything here. I think that is an argument. That is a strong argument here going into 2026. And I don't know that there's a lot of people that may disagree with that. Obviously, it's hard to show proof in that because it isn't, because Robinhood is still ahead. And, the difference between these two companies right now is this $308.4 million difference right now. This is the difference on Q3 and Q3, both Q3s of Robinhood and SoFi. Okay, what will be the defining moment here when, one falls and one takes over? That's going to be real interesting. Q4 for SoFi undoubtedly is going to be somewhere in this $1 billion range. Now, the question is, how aggressive can that quarterly be? Robinhood here just released this $1.27 billion quarterly for Q3. Okay, that's a big quarterly. That's a big quarterly right there. Okay, that's $1 billion and plus $2.5 million to spare. Okay, SoFi definitely is growing. Undoubtedly, they are coming for blood, and I do think that SoFi is a huge problem for other banks in the future, and this is why SoFi focusing on this crypto platform, really pushing into it. First of all, they know it's going to be something that's going to pay off in the long run. Second of all, they know it's going to bring in great revenue for them as a bank, where people can buy crypto, hold crypto, whatever transactions look like, and crypto entering the just the world, the ecosystem of the world here, whatever that looks like 5-10 years from now, who knows? But they are already trying to get ahead of everything in every bank right now. It's obvious what they're doing, and this is the thing where other banks aren't really paying attention to crypto near as much as SoFi and Robinhood too. Robinhood very much, every time the CEO of Robinhood gives an interview, he's always talking about crypto. I mean, they're very obsessed with crypto over there, and they should be, because they've done well with it. And two, their last quarterly here, they made the biggest batch of money they could make on transactions and quarterlies here, Robinhood. So it's interesting. It's going to be a big fight. I love both these companies, but there's obviously they both had a really good year, but SoFi really caught up a lot this year. SoFi caught up a lot. It caught up a lot more than what the bears thought it was going to do. And it caught up so much that now, think about if Robinhood did not come out with this quarterly. This is what I was saying before this Q3 with Robinhood. I was saying, like, if Robinhood does not come out with a banging quarterly here for Q3, we're going to have problems. We're going to have problems real fast, because you're going to see Robinhood go down to like 70, 60 bucks. And that's what I was saying. But I was saying that with, like, they've got to do more here. They've got to do more. Now, imagine, by Q2 of next year, somewhere right in the middle of the summer, Robinhood's like, we're back down to 1.1 billion, and SoFi's coming out with a 1.3 billion. You think people are going to be paying $130 a share for Robinhood when they can walk in and pay 40, 50, 60 bucks for SoFi at that point? I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. Especially when SoFi is so far advanced in the banking system. It's really, you're trying to shake people that aren't looking that hard at SoFi right now. You have to understand, SoFi is not just this new little banking system like, oh, they're so cute over there. Nah, dude. Nah. They've done a lot. Like, this is turning into a household name. Like, SoFi is aggressively growing right now. Aggressively. This isn't a company that's like, we might make this quarterly. No, they're gonna make the quarterly. It's just how big is the quarterly gonna be? It's fun, man. I love this kind of stuff. What a unique time for us as investors to watch two companies that are just so close with each other. And like I said, SoFi had a great year. They caught up. They made a lot of lost ground up. And Robinhood here, they got to keep it going. They got to keep it going. I don't think that, this isn't me saying that I think Robinhood's going to fail. I don't think either of these companies are going to fail by any means. But I do think 2-3 years from now, there will be a clear, okay, this company took over. I think SoFi has a better shot of that. I really do, because in the long run, SoFi being a bank, a more bigger scope, broad system of a company, they have a lot more to take over. They can easily take people in, and with their whole loan program, with everything they have to offer. I've said this time and time again, but man, it's free. If you just start an account with SoFi, you don't need anything. Download the app, make an account, and you can see. You're like, oh my God, like, they do all this. You understand. For you as an investor in SoFi, you're like, oh my God, like, I get why this is blowing up so much, because this is a real thing. This is a real company, and they make it so easy and so explainable to younger generations. Even, people that aren't that technology suited, it's easy to understand over there. So yeah, I'm excited, man. This is going to be a battle. This is going to be a battle this year, and it's going to be fun. You got to have fun in the market, and this is a great example of something to have fun with here this year. So, friends, be excited. Be excited. I think we're going to have a real doozy of a year with these two, and like I said, I'm not being bearish towards one of them. I think they're both phenomenal companies that are going to do well no matter what. But I do think, I am curious to see how fast and how advanced Robinhood gets into this banking conversation they talk about. But I'm also watching how advanced and aggressive they get into this investing more in crypto they get into. But too, SoFi and just the general conversation of banking. How many more customers are they able to grab each quarterly and push into their software? There's still a lot of different programs that SoFi is working on that are going to capture more and more people. It's a really, really interesting place right now for both these companies. So, friends, I wish all of you the best of luck, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.